In a world where 47 million people call themselves consultants or coaches, and your prospects see 127 marketing messages every minute, every second, every day, I don't know what the figures are. People seem to come up with different figures all the time, but basically it's a lot. Being modest, being I don't want to tell my story, is not a luxury you can afford. There, I've said it. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a story framework that turns you from just another expert into someone who gets my struggle. That's what you want your customers to say to you, that they get me and I am going to hire them. So, why does a story matter in the first place? Well, one brutal truth is that people don't buy services. People don't buy your stuff just because you say, I don't know, I sell widgets, I help people do this, I cure this or that problem. That's not enough. They buy connection. They don't buy with your credentials. The fact that you've got this or that diploma, this or that certificate is nice, but it's not a deciding factor. They connect with the relatability. They connect with whether or not they like you. You know, how do you tell the difference between two accountants? They have exactly the same product, exactly the same qualifications. In many cases, they are very similar type of people. You go to one rather than the other because you like them and for no other reason. So, when you share struggles about self-doubt or any kind of professional struggles that you may have gone through and overcome, then they're more likely to think, well, finally someone who gets me. Vulnerability creates connection. Perfection creates distance. Your story is in fact your secret weapon. It's the only thing that no one can take from you. It's the only thing that no one can imitate. Because you come into your game, your profession, your business with your own background, your own motivations, your own experience. And that is something that nobody else has. So, this is a story structure that works basically every time, because any story, the basis of any story is a transformation. You go from one point where you had a problem to another point where you didn't have a problem and everybody lived happy ever after, allegedly. Anyway, so part one of the story is the problem. It's where you were in the first place. I used to think specific challenge that your ideal client faces. But make it relatable, make it personal. They should think, that's exactly how I felt at the time. Include the emotions and not just the facts, how you felt, the panic that you felt, the potential consequences that may or may not have happened. These are all things that your customer is facing now. You know, copywriters love to say that you're joining the conversation your prospect is already having in advance. The trick is obviously, of course, is to work out what that conversation is. But once you have worked that out, you are 9/10 of the way there. So the solution is really what you learned, what you discovered. So then I discovered, surprising methodology, insight, or whatever, surprising solution. Your breakthrough moment, the moment where was the turning point, and it should probably feel unexpected, not obvious. I mean, every turning point that I've had in my business, my life, I thought, where did that come from? And 9 times out of 10, it's a surprise, because you can be looking you can, most of the time, people are looking for solutions and can't find them. So when someone else comes along with that solution, it is quite a surprise quite often. The third part is the proof, where you are now. So now I, specific income, help specific people do the same thing. It's very useful for you as a consultant to be able to say to a client, this is what I do, I've been down that journey, this is what I've experienced, I've been through exactly the same thing that you've been through, except now I can help you because I'm just 1 or 2 steps further down the line than you are. So basically you connect back by helping people through your own struggles in the past. So just an example, for example, I used to send proposals that got ignored until I learned that buyers decide in the first paragraph. So the most important thing now is how you open your proposals. 73% of the people that I close now, I close 73% of my proposals now, and I teach consultants to do the same. Obviously the number there is random, you get the idea, it's an example. Right, now 3 things that you shouldn't do when you're doing that. Don't go into too much detail for starters. So don't start a pitch, for example, with what you do. I'm an accountant. I'm a whatever, chartered surveyor. I'm a web designer. I'm a coach. No one cares. So you don't say, I provide strategic consulting services, because no one knows what that is, particularly the people that need them. Your competitive advantage is outgrowing you while you are stuck in chaos. I turn that chaos into competitive advantage. Your competitors are outpacing you before you get out the blocks while you're stuck in chaos. I turn that chaos into competitive advantage. You make your client the hero, not you. You are the mentor, you are the teacher, you are the Obi-Wan Kenobi, Gandalf, take whatever hero's journey story you want. You are not the centre of the story. You are the teacher. Your prospect, your client, is the centre of the story, is the hero. The second mistake is hiding behind corporate speak. Corporate speak that no one understands and no one cares about. Using jargon like facilitate, leverage, optimize. You're not even getting anywhere near AI speak at the moment. This is baloney that people have been talking for the last 40 years. Talk about outcomes, not processes. This is what you could be. Any story is a transformation. Even down to your nursery rhymes, even down to, I don't know why I suddenly thought of it, but Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood went to go and help Granny. The wolf came along. Granny, I think, I seem to remember. But Little Red Riding Hood turned out okay in the end. So she was happy. So use clear conversational language, the kind of language that your customers will use, the kind of language that you're going to be using when you're talking to them. If you are a consultant and if you start talking about leverage and facilitating when you're in a conversation with me, I'll laugh at you. I won't take you seriously. And I think everybody is like that. We need people who we can relate to, not on a purely, an intensely personal level, for almost anything, but particularly for consultancy, or even more kind of coaching and anything vaguely personal. People want to make a real connection with you, particularly these days. So then the third mistake is just being too perfect. perfect. Saying good work speaks for itself, and people build it and they will come. I don't need to advertise. People think there's still a lot of people around like that. People who think they are above advertising. Because the reality is that good work gets ignored if you don't talk about it. Unless you've got to an extreme level of fame, even within your business, people won't come flocking to your door if they don't know about you. The only way to build an audience is to go out and connect with people. So your struggles are far more important than your successes, because success is almost taken for granted. The struggles is what people can relate to, because that is what they are experiencing now. So I'm going to take my particular example about starting. I spent probably 45 years getting ready to write, being a translator. Then when I was, a few years ago, I was 62, 63 perhaps, I realised that I was getting ready and preparing for a life that I was already living and was slipping away from it. My mother died when I was 62, and I thought, okay, your mother was 26 when you were born. And I take that as a yardstick. I want to outlive her at least. What you're going to do with the rest of your life? And I realised that it was no longer time to be getting ready. It was time to start doing things. So now I basically help people make the most of what they perceive to be their boring background and use it as their competitive advantage. So my biggest struggle became my selling point. So I'd love you to do something. I'd love you to write out your 3-story structure using that formula. Using the formula where you say the problem, you provide the solution, and then the proof, the outcome, the happy ending, if you like. Practice it out loud. Do a 30-second pitch, if you like, because if you ever get into networking meetings, it's constantly what you're going to be asked to do. But one of the advantages of that is that it makes you more prepared, I think. Gives you clarity on what you actually do. So everything else will flow from that. Then you can test it in conversations this week, whether it's in conversations with prospects or in networking meetings or whatever. But just remember one thing: vulnerability is the magic bullet. And it's difficult. I recognise it's difficult to do sometimes. But if you practice it out loud on yourself, write it down by hand, it just makes it easier to do, because no one's listening. If you do it on your own, no one's listening. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. No one likes perfection. We are repelled by perfection. We like vulnerability, like being perfect, because that is just what we are, who we are. So your ordinary struggle could well be somebody else's nightmare. Your boring could be somebody else's inspirational. So stop waiting around for permission to tell your story. You merit your story just as much like anybody else does. So I'm getting started on this YouTube thing, but if you'd like to kind of come along with the journey with me, because I've got quite a lot to say and I'm a bit of a chatterbox. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube stuff. There's a link in the description for a free PDF called How to Write Your Story When You Have No Idea Where to Start. I'd love you to come with me on this journey, and I will see you next time.